We are in Parashat Korach, and we discussed the other day, if you remember, that Korach, the problem was that he was jealous. And he felt that he's the one who has to get the position. So it starts from jealousy and it ends with death. Why? Because he was jealous of Moshe Rabbeinu. Instead of being happy with his own part, which don't get the story distorted, Korach had everything that a person would want. He was a billionaire for that time. He was a Talmid Chacham, he knew a lot of Torah. He was part of the family, he was a leader, he had everything. Kids, the whole thing. Why? There one little detail that you don't have, and that spoils the entire dish. What's the big deal? So you're not a Kohen Gadol. Like as if it's such a easy job. But nevertheless, there was jealousy. Jealousy, of course, brought hate and anger, which dragged to Lashon Hara, which dragged to a whole argument. And what was the result? That he got sucked into the ground. If you remember the other day, we talked about that he wanted Osher. Remember, he wanted the power, and we separated the word Osher into two, Ayin Vav and Shin and Reish. Then I said, since he wanted the first part, then he got the first part of Osher, the Ayin and the Vav, which if you remember, I explained that the Vav is numerical value of 6, and he became a slave to his money, which is Eved. The Bet and the Dalet is numerical value of 6, so the Ayin and Vav of Osher, that's what he got. If he would not be jealous, if he would not start a fight and an argument, then he would get the other side of the word Osher, which is Sar, and Sar is a minister and a leader and so forth. So with that said, let's see what it says here. It says as follows: Hine noda midivrei Chazal, our sages have explained to us that the tribe of Issachar hayu oskim b'Torah yamim velelot. The entire tribe of Issachar were Torah scholars, and they would learn day and night. I'm sure you're familiar with the deal between Issachar and Zvulun. Zvulun was a business owner, and he would go and make business, and Issachar would learn Torah. Zvulun would supply 50% of the money to Issachar. Issachar will give half of the Torah to Zvulun. We also know that later on, great sages came out of the tribe of Issachar, heads of great assemblies and so forth. ולא היו עסוקים בפירות ארצם. They weren't busy with manual labor. They were the yeshiva bachers. Also in our generation, there are men that sit and learn all day long. Of course, many will mock it and say they're milking the system and they're lazy and they just sit and learn Torah all day long. It's not so easy to learn Torah all day long, and it doesn't matter. They do their part, we do our part. Okay, so the tribe of Issachar was not busy with working the land. אלא נותנים כל פירותיה לשבט זבולון. They would leave to the tribe of Zvulun, you deal with the fruit, that's how it says, the crops, the land to work on. והם מוכרים אותם בעבורם. They would give all the work to Zvulun. And even if they actually had physical things, they would give it to Zvulun to sell and to work. ומביאים להם מעות להתפרנס בהם. So Zvulun will come back, give them money to live by, and there you know the deal. ולפי זה, according to this, כיוון שאין להם עסק בנכסים, since the tribe of Issachar, they have no business in properties. They don't deal with that. לא ימצא שהיו עובדים לממון שלהם. So what do you get from that? That they weren't working for their own living. Somebody else worked for their living, which is pretty simple math. ולכן יש להם שם העושר באמיתות. So what does that mean? They have the real wealth because they're getting the money from here and they're dealing with the Torah all day long. ולא יחול עליהם שם עבדים. So now you can't call them slaves because they are 100% slaves for the Torah. They're not slaves to money. In our generation, 99% of the population of the world are slaves to their money. And if it's not necessarily to the dollar bill, they're slaves to their rent, to their mortgage, to their car lease, to their credit cards, to whatever. They're slaves. You need money. You can't live without money. So this is a type of slavery. So Issachar, you can't call them slaves because they were learning Torah. The fact that there was a deal with the Zevulun gave them money. I know many people that their parents give them money and they just live off their parents or somebody else, and they're busy with learning Torah, so you can't call them slaves. אלא כל אחד ואחד יחול עליו אותיות שר של עושר. So when you're looking at the tribe of Issachar, all of them, technically, they should fall under the second part of the word Osher, which is a sar, right? A minister. שהוא נחשב שר על ממונו ואינו עבד לממונו. Now, can they all be ministers? No. But sar is somebody that is in charge over something else. Which means that since they don't work for their money, so they have 100% control over their money. The money is not controlling them, they control the money. So there are people in our generation that they work for their living, but the money or the job, they're not slaves to that. They go, make the money, and that's it. Most people, again, not to insult anybody, most people are slaves to their money. And you see it that somebody wants the new iPhone that came out, they will go into debt to pay for that iPhone. And people want to drive a nice car, they will go into debt just to drive a nice car. And sometimes saying, "Ooh, wow, look, he has this gorgeous car, he must have a lot of money." No, he doesn't. It's all on credit. It's on a loan. He doesn't have money. And that's where you see, I mean, again, it's not necessarily all over the place, but very common that people, they go into debt, they go in under stress, they get another job. Why? So the house would look nice. Then the phone, the watch, the car should look nice. So I want to impress everybody, or everybody in the community and the neighborhood are with fancy cars. I need a fancy car. That's a slave to your money, in other words. But since Issachar did not work for their money, so they were sar, a minister over their money, so they're not slaves to their money. ולזה אמר זוכה לנחלה כיששכר. That's why it says in the Midrash, if you really want to inherit the best of this world, is like Issachar, that you are immersed in Torah all day long and you don't care about the money. The money will come. Kadosh Baruch Hu is not going to throw you to the dumpsters. Kadosh Baruch Hu takes care of everybody. Like I told you many times, when we say Birkat Hamazon, then we say Hazan u'mefarnes lakol. Hazan feeds everybody, u'mefarnes, he gives them parnasa. Parnasa is your livelihood. Now many people, they don't have emunah, so they think that they have to run around their tail to get the money. They don't understand that you need to do your part, as we explained 2 days ago with Shlomo HaMelech. You do your part, Kadosh Baruch Hu will worry about the rest. But I told you not once and not twice, you don't see animals stressing in the street because they don't have money. They know they'll go in the garbage, they'll find some food. And they'll walk around, they'll find food. You don't have cats on antidepressant because they can't make a living. They go into the garbage, they get food. They don't worry, they know there's going to be food. So why are you worried? Of course, you have to do ishtadlut, you have to do your effort. Hashem will take care of the rest. Now it says, Dichtiv beya, it says about Issachar that he was a chamor garem. Chamor is a donkey. And chamor garem means that he's able to take on himself a very heavy weight. Some people, they carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. Some people, a little bit of stress and they fall into pieces. Issachar was a very strong individual mentally. He was able to carry on him the weight of the Torah. You know what it is to learn Torah all day long? It's not so easy. A lot of people think you're just sitting on a bench and you're learning. Most people cannot learn 10 hours a day Torah. After half an hour, the brain is already like, I'm not getting anything. It takes years to get into a point that you can sit in a yeshiva for 12 hours. So Issachar was like a donkey, can take a heavy weight. Targumo, the the translation. There are many types of translations of the text. The famous one is Unculus, is Targum Yonatan. There's different types of translations. The translation says, Atir benechasin. Very, Atir is like blessed. Blessed with many, nechasim is properties. So he's blessed with many properties. And one might say, but he's learning Torah, how he's blessed with properties? Because when you learn Torah, and the Torah is your life, Hashem takes care of you financially, and you are considered blessed with property. ודבר זה הוא מוכח ביששכר, and this is where we find in the tribe of Issachar. Why? כיוון דאינו עוסק בממונו כלל, because he's not busy with his own money. He's busy with Torah, and he gets his money. וידוע, and we know, מי שהוא עשיר, a person, we know that a person that is rich, והעושר שלו שולט עליו, if a person is rich, then usually the wealth will control them. It says in the Talmud, רעב לכסף, לא ישבע כסף. If you're hungry for money, you'll never be satisfied. You get 100, you want 200. You get 4, you want 200. You get 200, you want 400. Never is enough. And you see that is 1 out of a million that has a lot of money and that doesn't let the money control him. Most people, the money, when they get to a certain level, they become so hungry money that they will crush anything in their way just to get more money, more money. I'll kill half of this planet just to make money. And we see it with our own eyes. So he says here, Mishu Ashir, a person that is rich, his wealth controls him. Why? Lihiyot midgae michamat oshro. Wealth, a lot of people want wealth. This is a very hard nisayon, very hard test. Better not to have money. Money just brings problems, by the way. It might bring you a nice car, but usually money brings a lot of problems. Because now everybody's jealous of you, everybody's using you. Now you become paranoid. Why are you my friend? Why you want to use me? Why are you coming to my house? You want money? And people are getting all crazy because of that. Then of course arguments, lawsuits, fights. I've never seen a happy billionaire, by the way, and I've been to some pretty rich people in my last 15 years, because when I go on all my tours, who do you think hosts me? All the billionaires of the town, they let the rabbi sleep in my home. And I never seen either one of them happy. They have money pouring out of their ears and zero happiness. Now, of course, there's always an exception. Don't take my words and say that I'm extreme. I'm just saying, with my own eyes, I've been hosted in the most wealthiest areas in the United States with people who are worth billions. And very few of them are genuinely happy. Usually they're afraid, what's going to happen? I'll lose my fortune, I'll lose my money. There's lawsuits everywhere. Everybody, they become paranoid. Everybody wants my money. Trust me, it's not a nice, it's a very hard test to have money. Even though some people say that money solves a lot of problems, but it also creates a lot of problems. So here he says a person that is very rich, very wealthy, the wealth controls him. Why? It makes him very arrogant. Most wealthy people are so arrogant. They think they own the world. They become full of ge'ava, full of pride, arrogance, and all sorts of disgusting midot. זה נחשב עבד לממונו. This is considered a slave to his own money. כיוון דממונו מכריחו להתייהר, because his money, so to say, forces him to be arrogant and to be pretentious. לאחוז במידת הגאווה, then a person becomes a בעל גאווה, a lot of pride. I built that building, I built this building. I once was in some place where a very wealthy man hosted me, and the whole Shabbat, all he was showing off. I built that yeshiva. Oh, this shul, I built it. Oh, that, I gave them $5 million. And in the first few minutes, it was, wow, very nice. After 5 hours, I was like, that enough? Okay, I got the point. So you know how to sign checks, big deal. So Hashem gave you some money. So anyways, it was too much ge'ava. And of course, when a person has too much ge'ava, too much ego and pride, then he becomes a slave to it. And then chas v'shalom, then what is the result? Is exactly the result of Korach. So the Torah comes to tell me there's nothing wrong with going and making a living. There's nothing wrong with living nice. You don't have to live in a tent or in poverty. But there's a very fine line when you work for your money or your money works for you. You have to make a very strong separation What's the power of money in this world? If I make money to use it to my benefit, good. But when I lose the right focus and the money starts controlling me, then I become a slave. That's something that many people fail, and this is one of the many reasons. If you remember, 2 months ago I told you when the corona started, I told them the corona is not the problem. We have other viruses on this planet. Corona is not a problem. The problem then, when it came out, if you remember, I said the problem is that the entire economy of the world crashed. Everywhere, every country. That was the problem. The economy, the money, the finance. If you remember then, I explained that there's a prophecy in the Talmud saying, En ben David ba, ad asher tichle pruta min hakis. The son of David cannot come up until there's not going to be any money. There can't be any money. So here I added a little twist. Not everybody found it so interesting. But of course, you know that the globalists are interested in making a cashless society. No cash, right? Everything digital, through a chip, through whatever they want. So that means there's no more money in the pocket. So when the Talmud says the son of David cannot come till there's no money in the pocket, just imagine what they saw 2,000 years ago. But we're not going to have money in pockets, it's all going to be digital. But the thing is that the money is the cause of most problems in this world. So in order for there will be redemption in the world, Hashem says, I have to take away the money. That you can't depend on anything. You can't depend on a bank giving you credit. You can't depend on a little card that you can buy stuff. You have to depend on the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So we're having here a very powerful lesson that Hashem says, you can only be a slave to one thing, to me. You can't be a slave to anything else. And for sure not money, because that's the most population of the world, that there are slaves to their money. The smart people, they know how to live very humble. They don't need much. And they don't need too much pampers and comfort. And I need spiritual sustenance. I need good things in my life, not physical things. So it's already a good thing as a human race to start getting rid of physical things, not to be attached to all this physicality. Why? Because eventually it will make you arrogant. You make good in business, you make money, you have a beautiful car. I know many people, when they get a beautiful car, suddenly the chest is a little bit more out. The key, the car key is on the hand. Why? Because it has the BMW on the car key. If it was like a Toyota, the car key is in the pocket. You should not see that I'm driving a Toyota, but if it's a BMW or Mercedes, the car key is on the table. So everybody should know. See, I have a fancy piece of metal. This is all fake, this is all nonsense, just makes a person a slave. Why? Because you need to, it's a pit that you need to throw money in. Better to invest your time in smarter things. And the most important lesson to take from that is we see what happened to Korach. As they say, and it's happening till today, kesef yaver enei tzadikim. The money blinds the eyes of tzadikim. So there's a beautiful explanation why it blinds them. It could say the money captures their heart, or any other way. Why our sages say, they choose to say, kesef yaver enei tzadikim, it will blind them. Why? Because with money, you get bribed. Today everything works with bribery. How much that is going to cost me? What do you want me to write here? I'll give me some money. I'll write whatever you want. It's all bribery. It's all money. Now, what happens is when I bribe somebody, they look the other way. So that they blind them from the truth. So our sages say that the money blinds the eyes of righteous people because they take the bribe and suddenly you forget about the truth. You're blinded. So we got to be very careful that this power, that money, the roots coming from a very negative place, should not blind us, should not affect us. Look at Avraham Avinu, was a gazillionaire. Didn't affect him. Look at many other people in the past that they were multimillionaires. Avraham Avinu, Yaakov. You know how rich Yaakov was? Coming out of Haran with 6 million sheep. He was an empire. Who wanted to? He didn't even have room to put the sheep from so much. But it didn't affect him. So we have to understand, money is a tool to get what I need and not to become a slave. chas v'shalom, to money, physicality. Why? The result will be pride, the result will be arrogance, disagreements, lashon hara, and like Korach got swollen into the ground, we are also, some people get swollen into the ground, and sometimes it can be physically. Shem Yerachem. Should stick to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, stick to the Torah. Kadosh Baruch Hu takes care of everything, of us, our physical needs. That's really what we need now. That's why the Kadosh Baruch Hu is crumbling the physical needs in this world, so we will start getting used to depending on Hashem and not on anything else. Bezat Hashem should all be free from any type of slavery, and it says, Mihu ben chorin, who is a free person? That is a slave to the Torah. If you're a slave to the Torah, you are free from any other things. The Torah will set you free, as the Mishnah says that the letters on the tablets were engraved. In Hebrew, engraved means charut. You engraved, the letters were engraved, you can't erase it. The Mishnah says, Al tikrei cherut, don't call it engraved, call it cherut, call it freedom. When you are, then the words of the Torah are engraved on your body and your soul and your mind and your mouth, that's the real freedom. You don't have any strings attached to anything in this physical world. Bezat Hashem, we should merit to apply that in our lives.